Welcome to Unbridled and Entitled. I'm Lori Rothman along with Russ Flicker. Hey, Russ, great to see you.
Hey, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. And I
Good
guess we should probably
morning.
start with a little reminder that if you dread those mornings, getting your kids ready for school, PTA, pack the lunch, etc., you are in the wrong place.
Oh, those days. I can't say I miss them all that much. But look, if you, like me, love to wrap up in your warm, cozy cashmere sweater this time of year, you love the crisp air, and you sip your tea and look at the beautiful colors of the fall foliage. Hey, you are in the right place. Great to have everyone with us this morning.
I love it. I love it. I'm not a wool guy, and so I usually look at the tags. Is it more than 5%? So I'm too
Sensitive.
lowbrow for cashmere, I guess.
You don't like the scratchy?
Exactly. I don't like the itchiness, but I do love everything else you said. A good fire. Um, Fall is probably my favorite season. I don't know about you.
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat why I love this time of year. Fall sports are underway. You've got baseball, obviously, football, um, basketball, ice hockey, all of it. Not even, and college games too. I mean, it's like I just am so overwhelmed with choosing what sports to watch. It's awesome. And of course, I'm the one that drives
I love
drives the TV viewing in my
totally, and
household.
I love the gender role reversal. And I'd say that I'm not. I mean, I like sports, but you, amongst the two of us, I
Yeah.
think in your marriage, you are the more sporty, the one who's following sports more, the more of a fanatic. Am I right?
I think my husband actually even agree with you on that one. It is funny though, because I'll sit there and say, oh, we have to watch the World Series, which by the way, I'm conflicted out because I'm from Los Angeles, living in New York. Husband's always been Mike, I'll say Mike, my husband is a Yankees fan, do or die for his whole life. And it's kind of funny in our household right now, but I'm kind of driving it, in terms of like, we cut dinner plans short the other night, had to get home for the game. And it's not just that. Knicks basketball here in New York is really exciting too. So it's good and bad, right? Because it's sort of made me not, I'm kind of scaling back the plans with the friends. And I think they're kind of confused about that. Like, what's going on? Where's Lori been? Oh, she's glued in front of the TV. So I don't know if it's all good, actually. But it's a good time of year, to your point. It's a really nice time of year.
It is
A lot
fun.
going on.
I usually mark my holidays based on what kind of Starbucks cup they offer. And
What?
so, well, once the pumpkin spice lattes are out, I'm like, oh, it must be fall. But no, that is fun. I'll tell you, for the World Series, though, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
my father grew up a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, and so I always
Oh,
hated the Yankees. And the Mets had a run this year, and that's my team. But now I'm conflicted because I can't root for the Dodgers and I can't root for the Yankees, so I don't know what to do. The question is, are the Dodgers? I don't know what is it, 50 years after they left
I
Brooklyn?
think they left Brooklyn in 1958, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
Anyway,
so
mhm,
what is that? 45, 46 years
can't
later,
do math.
a little less than 50. Wild, wild. Okay.
Well, I think you just have to appreciate if we're going to talk about baseball, like, it's the pureness. I think the matchup is really, really great. And they're both fantastic teams, fun to watch. And it's fun to get around something. So, love that. So what else is going on this fall? Halloween. Yeah, I've got high school kids with their costumes. I think I've capitulated though, Russ, in terms of weighing in on their costume selection. Um, any thoughts on the way that Halloween has evolved in recent years?
Yeah, I'd say that when my kids were in grade school for sure, and high school, I was very focused on the appropriateness of what they wear. Now they're in college, and you can't really be focused on it. And so um, I would say I don't want to know how they dress, especially my daughter. And I know that I'd say over time the dress has gotten more and more I think a little bit more sexualized,
Risque.
risque, exactly.
Well, I've totally capitulated. I've given up. Like, again, my kids are only a little younger than yours, and I feel like I have done the best I can. I have guided them to the best of my ability. They're walking out the door, whether it's Halloween or any, weekend night on the town, and I'll just be like, listen, hon, don't let your tits hang out. but if you must, just don't post them on social media. Like, that's where I'm at right now. I
I
feel
think
like
that's
my
smart.
job here is done. Like, I can't anymore. I'm doing the
I think
best
that's
I
smart.
can.
At least don't have it captured on tape or video. I think that's smart.
Right.
And then I would say the other thing that's happened to me is I'm at the stage of life where I bought my wife a slutty nurse uniform, but she had nothing. She was not impressed. She didn't think it was
So you're
amusing even.
wearing it. She goes, okay, here, let's see it on you.
Right. She was like, perfect. But it's not in the way I thought. Exactly.
I mean, you guys have a lot of free time. You mentioned the kids are in college nowadays. So 4-day, 3-day, whatever it is, Halloween weekend, followed by lots of boondoggles going on. I mean, how are you spending the extra time you find yourself with?
It is funny. I would say because it's just happened, we are actually running around trying to find, both either leaning into work professionally for sure, travel. Both Lisa and I are able to go and do the professional travel, but also filling our time almost frantically, like, all right, I got to fill my time. What am I doing? So it's more hiking, more physical activity, but we're having fun. But here's something funny to merge those two thoughts. Our parents' weekend for the college my kids go to is over Halloween weekend. And I know that happened last year also. And one of our friends was there with his son at the fraternity house over Halloween. And at some point, the question was, how long can you stay when the 18 to 22-year-olds are arriving in their Halloween costume? It's uncomfortable. You really should be
Their
leaving. You shouldn't be there.
risque Halloween costume.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm going there this weekend. Coming up is going to be Halloween and Parents' Weekend. And I'm sure that post dinner, we'll go right back to the hotel or our own, stay off campus because we want everyone to have their own free space.
It's really nice, right? Because you're meeting a lot of other parents who are in the same sort of stage of life and you can celebrate, commiserate, choose your active for, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So it's got to be, even if you're not with the kids the whole time, you're still with other parents who are in similar situations. Sounds like a blast. I'm looking forward to it. Um, I have a senior in high school and, her attitude, which is super healthy, by the way, is my future is in God's hands. Hey, knock yourself out, sweetie. So I'm actually kind of proud of her for that. I'm not getting too stressed out about the college process. But, one thing I wanted to talk about, just switching gears really quickly, is, being at this sort of midlife stage, you got to find hobbies, right? You mentioned your traveling, your activities. It's all super healthy. I think you got to find something that's outrageous, right? Like, I don't know, doing a podcast, something that takes you so far out of your comfort zone that it's like terrifying. So we've also done some stand-up comedy, you and me, right?
Yep. Yep. No, I agree. And I think having those hobbies and also goals that that you work towards is so important. And I think the stand-up comedy for both of us, I'll speak for myself, but for me, it's been a really positive thing, and I've enjoyed it. And it's been because we have these shows that we plan a couple months out. Working on a new set, working on the material is super fun and rewarding.
Right. And it's such a great creative outlet. Like, I really want to encourage everybody to find something, whether it's comedy or music or podcasting or something not in the arts, just, something that kind of freaks you out a little bit. It really sort of like stretches your, uh, how do it like staves off cognitive decline. I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean?
Totally, and it's both you're taking a little bit of a risk, whatever that
Hmm.
means to you.
Yeah.
I think it's valuable to have something that you have to train towards. So it's something you can work towards. It's a goal that you lean into and you're proud of. Um, and for us, again, stand-up comedy, which Lori and I have been doing a bunch of that with some other friends in the neighborhood, and it allows us to practice, write material, get together and have these writing sessions, which are, a blast where we're, maybe having a cocktail or two. Everyone's going around and coming up with the most, with the craziest thing that entered their head or an idea or a funny situation, and, and work towards actually having a big show. And one other thing that comedy does in particular, which I love, and I think you can do this with a journal or with a podcast or a lot of different areas, but what that does for me is every crazy situation I encounter on the train, at work, in my family life, with extended family, on, at Starbucks, I can jot it down and it can become a kernel of a story.
Totally, totally. And then your friends know they're all at risk. Like, hang out with Russ at your own risk. So I've had a few great little vignettes, if you will, um, situations and conversations I've had with friends, and it's kind of funny. It sort of changes dynamics, friendships a little bit, but all in good humor. And I think we're very fortunate. We've had a lot of great support in town. We're able to sort of raise some money for some great causes as well, which is kind of icing on the cake. So hopefully, you guys, if you're local in Westchester, will come out and catch our show February 8th, the night before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Saturday night, February 8th. I'm glad you brought it up. So it's going to be in Westchester. It's a paid ticket for the first time, but all that money is going to charity. Because at our venue you can't sell liquor, but you can give it away. Your ticket comes with some liquor.
Everybody
And
gets
so
their own
hopefully
keg.
you'll come.
You need to liquor them up as much as possible to have a laugh. I
A
actually,
pony cake for every
yeah,
family.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm looking forward. Um, so all good things, all good things. So what else is coming up? Thanksgiving, a little bit, actually not too far away, but that'll be fun. You hosting?
I am
Yeah.
hosting. We tend to have a good sized crowd, which is fun. And in addition to my family, extended family, we try to have we like to have some more folks there, and we end up having like a big kickball game is one of our traditions, if the weather permits, which is kind of
Cute.
fun. And I love Thanksgiving. How about you?
Well, no, wait a minute. You were complaining. Oh, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. You were complaining about how there are different dietary recommendations or necessities, right, among some of your
Oh,
guests.
I'm glad you bring it up.
Really? Okay, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I think that I was chatting with Lisa about it a little too. Like, oh my gosh,
Get her in trouble.
sorry, sorry. Well, I'll tell you my family
No, I
story.
love it.
No, I'll share my. Okay,
I
do you
love
want
it.
me to go first? I'll get myself in trouble before I get
Sure.
you in trouble. Um. So anyway, it's just about when you host and just it's a lot. Look, it's a lot of work when it's in your house. I mean, pick your poison. First of all, so my sister-in-law does a beautiful Thanksgiving in Long Island, which is about an hour plus drive from us here in Westchester, and it's super fun. It's awesome. So it's like, would you rather drive for an hour plus in traffic on Thanksgiving, or have 25 people in your house and have to accommodate all of their vegan, gluten-free, not, whatever, like dietary restrictions. Some people keep kosher, some people don't. We're a Jewish family. So, it's kind of funny. And, over some of the fall holidays, or maybe it was like Labor Day weekend, it was like back to our sort of family back to school barbecue. I did this whole thing. I ordered a ton of food, spread it out. I have, there's 6 kids, including my 2, and they all come in and they're like, this food is crap. And so my daughter, the oldest, is driving. So she takes all the cousins, they pile in the car and they go to Chick-fil-A and
Oh,
get their own. And honestly, I was torn. Good for them taking matters into their own hands, but like them, because I did all of this work, spent all of this money, putting out all this food, and nobody ate it. And then this is the other thing that I'm noticing. Like, people don't drink as much as they used to. People don't eat crap. It's all got to be pretty healthy. Dessert. So you go to a gathering, people bring you, or if you're hosting, just wine and dessert. That's like the classic thing. I'm kind of going on a rant now. Nobody touches it. And you're left with all of this food that, sure, you could bring to a local hospital or a local organization, but still, it's just so much effort on all parts. Like, we have to figure out a way to streamline holidays so that everybody gets what they want, whether they have dietary restrictions or whether they just have tastes that are, fast food worthy. But I guess at the end of the day, you just can't make everyone happy, right? You're all together. That's what's most important.
I keep reminding myself, you're all
Yeah.
together. You're all together. That's what's most important. No, I think you're 100% right. And we end up putting like literally like little flags in the food. And we're like, oh, don't eat that. That's only for this one or that one. And,
You have a
and to your
bowl
point.
of EpiPen on the end of the banquet table.
Exactly.
Some
We're measuring food.
antihistamines on the other side. Sorry.
we're measuring food out and telling what goes with which and what's dairy and what's gluten. But look, it is good fun. You want to have
Yeah.
the folks together, and I think
Talking about politics, sorry to interrupt you, but obviously presidential election, like I haven't even thought about the political debates that will ultimately unfold this season as well. I'm literally still stuck on the food.
well, we
Can't get
try
past
we
that.
try hard because we've got absolutely have a political divide, as probably most families do to some extent, and so we try hard not to talk about politics in a way that's going to get people agitated,
Are you
when we can avoid it.
successful?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and when we start leaning to politics, someone, often me, but not always, will try to steer the conversation back to
Are you
something
grumpy
else.
Uncle Russ? I know you're grumpy Uncle Russ.
I don't think no. I'm a host. I'm trying to make sure everyone's having a good time. That's sort of my role. I'm the cheerleader, the camp counselor, and so while I have strong opinions, I am trying to make sure everyone is engaged. What's your
Well,
what's your role in dinner? Are you that the
you
host
don't
is
want to know. Do you know what I did last time? So I'm very fortunate because we spread it around. We have a large family here in New York. My family's on the West Coast. So we go out to Los Angeles for some of the holidays. And obviously, my family will host us. And that's a commute, by the way, schlepping 3,000 miles across the country. So we should get some points for that. But when we're here with our New York side of the family, we do split it up. And the last holiday, I was so exhausted. I ended up like excusing myself and I felt terribly guilty about it. I texted my sister-in-law the next morning, apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, I bailed out. And I was just like, I had just kind of had it. And this is the holiday that the kids all went to Chick-fil-A and I, put out all the food and nobody wanted to eat anything. And so I think by like 9 o'clock and they had been there all afternoon. I was like, and they were so gracious about it. They're like, you do we get it. It's not easy. So I really appreciated that. And it sort of gave me a new lease on entertaining.
that is a
Um,
great.
but but I do try to keep it easy. Like I'm not a cook. I wish I was a cook. I've tried and now everybody's like, yeah, you're good. You're not a cook, Lori. So just keep ordering in, which
Well, I'll
helps a
touch
lot.
back on
But
the "you're
yeah,
not a cook." That doesn't sound super, but super nice as a thing to say. But I do think that the when you have real comfort with the family, which is great, you
yeah.
can actually say, "All right, listen, I'm wiped out. I'm going over here. I'm sitting on the couch. Everyone's sort of doing their own thing." Particularly
Mhm.
with family coming from out of town, that's a really nice thing. And I'll tell you one funny example of that. A few years back, we had family in from London. We have some family on my brother-in-law side. My brother-in-law's British, and family in from London. And at my house for a long holiday day, one of those days where maybe people are around for 8+ hours. You're having a meal, you're having a second meal. At some point, I think several of us, myself included, literally fell asleep on the couch. And so now you have these two folks that are
Wait,
in from London.
seven, seven of you fell
No,
asleep?
no, several,
What?
several of us,
Oh, several. Okay.
several
I
of
didn't hear
us.
you. I just
No,
wanted to
no,
get that clear on the record.
yeah, several of us fell asleep on the couch, and so there were a couple of folks in from London in my house with one or two people who were awake and the host asleep on the couch for hours. You know what? I was very comfortable then.
Does speak volumes. And it's also a great reflection of you guys and how you roll and, how you don't take things too seriously and just have a good time and appreciate it because, clock's ticking, like things are going by, life's going by. It's weird being at this age. I have to tell you, it's very weird having kids about to leave home. God,
Well, and
just
that
mind
brings
blowing,
up
just
another
mind
great
blowing.
point. Yeah, no, that brings
Yeah.
up another great point, which is
Yeah.
I find as the kids get older, first of all, of course, they're going to have significant others, and the whole dynamic continues to shift. But I get phone calls from them, and
Mhm.
often, sometimes they lead with "I need money," or sometimes it takes a little while before you hear that. Oh, you know where I am? Funny you should ask. I'm at the mall, and I'm about to buy X. Is that something you'd like to sponsor, Daddy? Um, oh,
Sir.
sometimes Papa. I'm like, oh, I'm getting called Papa. Okay. When you lean into the real sweet nicknames, you got to check your wallet.
Um, and do you ever say no?
Rarely, rarely. To say no when your son or daughter calls from afar sweetly, oh, I'm a little short and I really
Yeah.
wanted this thing. My favorite is, and this is my daughter's, we have this fun game where she'll call me sometimes and say, can I buy this? And I say, sure, you can buy whatever you want. I say, oh, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Can I buy this with your money?
So how badly do you torture them? Do you really like make them get to the point as opposed to like, all right, I know where you're going, like, kind of cut them off and spare them sort of, or do you
No,
make them actually?
I like to go along as long as possible to see when they'll say, Dad, listen, I really don't have that much time. I just need to know if you can, if you can wire me, or I say wire me, if you can move $100 or $200 or whatever it is into my account right now. In fact, I've occasionally gotten the call. This happens. I literally got a text. Hey, Dad, I'm online and I realized that you see my debit number. I don't have enough. I'll pay you back, but can you wire me $107 into my account right now? I'm up at the front of the line. Amazing.
Well, speaking of older kids, you're not going to like this segue. And I'm not saying that your kids or mine are anything like the Menendez brothers yet.
I hope not yet.
This is a crazy story that they could be home by the end of the year. Have you been following this? The
I have.
case of the Menendez brothers, which again, I mentioned I'm from Los Angeles. So, and they're a couple years older than we are, but I just remember this case. And actually when it happened, thinking that is outrageous. These two brothers actually killed with a shotgun both of their parents. Um, it was kind of a joke for a long time too, because it was so crazy. People just thought they had to have been completely out of their mind. The whole story of the molesting. I'm getting a little bit serious here, but like it's just fascinating to me how in 35 years our view of that case, our societal, view of the sensational case has totally shifted and how we're viewing male sexual abuse now. And I think it's really important. And I think it's a huge leap. But I remember sitting around the dinner table and my dad, I have a sister who I mentioned, saying, oh my God, we were pissing off my parents or something. And my sister goes, we're going to turn into the Menendez sisters. If you guys don't, if you're not nicer to us or something ridiculous like that. And my dad, even at the time, and he was always like a progressive guy, he still is. And he sort of said like, gosh, these guys, if they really were abused, like they did not have a chance. There was no way the Beverly Hills Police Department was ever going to take the, you know, affluent white kids seriously, like, that they had a gripe. And now here we are that the Los Angeles District Attorney decided to resentence them. That's where, as of this recording, that's where we are with this case. But it's
It,
just really eye opening.
yeah, for sure. And it was a very big deal when we were younger, and this was a big story. One of the things I've wondered about it is, it speaks to how much has changed in media. And back when this first was launched, and I can't pretend to remember the year, but the media outlets, it was much more consolidated. And so there was a story that was out, and this was the message most of America was hearing, I think, which is
Mm-hmm.
these are rich kids, and basically they didn't get what they wanted for their birthday or for Christmas, and so they wanted more money, and it was you were told the story. And I think we all have to have the humility to remember that we don't really know the story. So if you're hearing one side that could be
Mm-hmm.
true,
Yeah.
even if there was a kernel of truth, and that was the worst moment they ever had was complaining about some gift they had, that doesn't mean that's the whole story. But that is what we were fed. And as now, today you've got so many media outlets, you've got point of view, counterpoint,
Right.
counterpoint. You could see a fuller story. And yeah, it's a sad story when you pull back.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to the media too, it was that, the judge in their second trial didn't even permit the abuse allegations to come in as evidence. So, I mean, it's really fascinating how we've, as a society, come around, in my view. So anyway, we'll follow that one and see what happens. But I think we are just about out of time. This has been great. Super fun to catch up with you, Russ.
Always great to chat. And when we come back, I want to talk about some of your exciting recent activities, like going to an Air Supply concert. I mean, that's when you know you're in the right podcast. If you know who Air Supply is and you're willing to buy a ticket that only includes their music, you're in the right podcast.
I should have told you that was the best concert I saw all summer. Like, anyway, I loved it today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And check back in next time.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Lori.